Welcome back. All right, so last night I did a video, just my confusion after watching this movie. So Yvonne really enjoyed it.
I did.
She thought it was a good show.
Yeah.
So discuss.
What do you mean discuss?
What
Discuss
did
with
you
the
like
both of us.
about it? What
Well, I
did
just
you?
thought it was a fun movie. It was a Beetlejuice movie. It was very, very much made for people that like the Beetlejuice movies. There was a lot of nods to the original movie for either quotes that they said, set pieces, costume, all sorts of things. It didn't add anything new,
No.
really, or anything like that, but it was still a really fun movie. The ending was a little bit wrap it up really quickly.
Abrupt.
There were a lot of storylines, so the many storylines and the other characters didn't get as much time as I think it needed to be a well-rounded story. But it was still a good movie. I still liked it. I will watch it again. Yeah.
See, for me, the extra plot lines, like part of it may have been that apparently Michael Keaton didn't want to have more than 15 minutes of screen time for Beetlejuice. So, which makes some sense.
I mean,
That's
in
a
the
character that
original, he's not
he's not in it
actually
that much at
in
all.
it very much
No.
at all.
And
Beetlejuice, the character's in it very little.
a little bit of the character does go a long way. He could get very tired very quickly if he was in the movie too much.
Right. And that would make it quite a different movie.
But it was. I mean, it was different. Again, I found myself really confused at the ending, and I'm still not sure that I understand the ending. I I don't know. Like it felt like maybe Tim Burton didn't know how to end it either. Like it's just I thought it was interesting too. I was watching the Red Letter Media review, and they referred to um, his ex wife, who's after him, as the Corpse Bride. That's how they referred to her, as the Corpse Bride, because she's the wife and she's in pieces and all that. And I was like, yeah, I can see Corpse Bride being the tie-in there, and yet that storyline didn't really go anywhere.
Well, it ended very abruptly, but I figured she was going to come in at the end. When I knew that there was going to be the wedding, when Lydia signed that paper and everything, and they get to the church, I think I even said out loud that she has to come in. That has to be what
But
ends
like,
it. I
there's
didn't guess the daughter reading the book and finding out that he'd broken a rule, but I knew that that's where Dolores, wasn't that her name, would come
yeah, I found myself kind of scratching my head at it, because I had expected some kind of confrontation between her and Beetlejuice. I had expected some back and forth, and you don't really get that.
in. No, it ended very quickly.
And so I kind of felt like if they were going to go the route of a villain, they didn't really flesh out either of the villains in this movie.
I think that Lydia's fiance, you can tell right away something's up, and as soon as she told the story of how they met, I clued into
Well, yeah,
him being a fake. I
you
knew,
know he's a
like, I was
grifter.
pretty sure that there was something up and he wasn't actually into her. But
No,
as soon as she told that story, I knew that.
but
And
he's
they could have gone into him more, but again, that's part of the. There were a lot of storylines that they could have
that's the thing. Like
rounded out a bit
if you had
better.
had the storyline of the kid with the treehouse tie in with one of the other villains somehow, and I thought that, like, okay, so they're getting married on Halloween. It's a Father Damien that's performing the thing. So is this going to somehow tie into Beetlejuice, and it's going to be this big con that he's been running for decades on Lydia? And nope, the guy's just a weasel. And I kind of felt like that was it was too bad, because it was a very cartoonish weasel character that he portrayed. And again, so that's three villains, because you have the kid from the treehouse, him, and the corpse bride, and it just there's no tie between. And I wish there'd been some kind of tie between those characters. That maybe he'd been related to the kid from the treehouse or something to tie them together. Because I don't know, it felt like, and then everything gets dispatched very quickly. And again, so spoilers for people who haven't watched it, obviously at this point. Um, at the end, it seemed like the way the movie ends that they're intimating that the entire movie is a dream of Lydia's. That's how I took it.
That is not how I took it.
Where I was like, okay, because they defeat Beetlejuice, and then she's imagining him laying in the bed next to her. She wakes up twice, and I was like, okay. And then there's the part where they're all singing along, and Beetlejuice looks right at the camera and says dream sequence, and I thought, okay, it's a weird thing to throw in there, dream sequence. So I kind of took it as the movie is a dream of Lydia's, and that nothing that happens in the movie actually happens. So that's how I took it, anyways.
That is not how I took it.
It's the only thing that made sense to me. Was okay, so I guess we can interpret it as having been a dream. Oh,
That wouldn't
okay.
work. Whose dream would it be then?
Lydia's.
But then how were there scenes that Lydia wasn't even involved in?
Oh, that
Like,
happens
how
in every
would that-
movie that's dream related.
But that
All movies that are dream related.
there's
That
so
happens.
much like how would her daughter, like, all the whole storyline with her daughter, the whole storyline like with her mother, there was a bunch that wouldn't work as Lydia's dream sequence.
It's if the whole movie was a dream, then none of it happened. Because there's the part where where I'm trying to think of Deirdre or whatever, where she dies, she gets bit by snakes and she's dead like that, and that's not how snake bites work. You're not dead in a couple of seconds.
But it is a Tim Burton movie, and there were already kind of cartoony things. I mean, seriously, there were piranhas still hanging on their
Which
dad,
didn't make
the dad.
sense either. None of that made sense. And again, in that moment, I was like, the only way that works is if the piranha are dead, which they're not. But like it just didn't make sense. So the
But
idea
the
that if it
original
was a
had
dream,
silly stuff in
not
it,
like that.
too.
Not like that. The original had some clever sight gags. It didn't have any stupid fish sucking on somebody's face and on the side of their that didn't happen. You had the cute sight gag of the woman split in half. You had the cute sight gag of the guy who's smoking, but he clearly was burnt to a crisp, and that's how he died. And in this one, it's just sort of weird, and I wouldn't put this one anywhere near the original. The original, the quality's there. There are some janky exposition things that take place in the original movie as well. Like all of a sudden he has to marry her or she has to marry him. That was kind of out of nowhere in the original. But it just felt like this one wasn't as cohesive as the first. There's a lot of loose ends. Like, okay, so you have a whole town of people that saw these ghosts or shrunken headed guys, however you want to look at it. And how did they go back through? So is there there's a portal then to come into the real world that can be opened from the other side, and so they all just
Maybe
went
those
back.
police went and rounded them up
I
after they
don't.
released all those people from their phones.
That didn't get shown either. None of that got shown,
I know.
and none of it made any sense. Which
See, stuff. Yeah. I don't overly concern myself with things like that in
I
movies.
don't either.
And I know there's a lot of movies that people
this movie had
get all
so
up
many
in arms
things.
about how the storyline doesn't quite work, and I just didn't enjoy it for what it is. And
No,
I thought it was
it
fun.
had too many plot lines.
And I thought it was very much for people that liked the original, which I am definitely one of them. I really like Tim Burton movies. This was very much a Tim Burton movie. I liked it. I thought it was fun.
I'll give them props for the practical effects, for some of the sets that were done. I don't know that I'd watch this movie. I don't know that I could get through it a second time. I don't know that I could sit through it a second time. I don't know that I could do it. I only laughed once during the movie, which is less than in the first one. There was only one time where I laughed, and there were a couple of plot twists that I thought were clever, but I don't know. The kid I thought was a good plot twist, and then they just sped that up way too much. That was so rushed. It was like, okay, so we're gonna do this slow turn, and what's going? Oh, nope, nope. We're just turning him now, and we're gonna fly into that storyline now, and it just I felt like there was a lot more that could have been done there. So either you flesh out the corpse bride part a little bit more, or you flesh out the kid with the treehouse a little bit more, and you drop one storyline or the other. Is the way I would have gone with it personally, just to kind of focus it, because at times there wasn't a lot of focus to the movie. But again, that's just my opinion. And if you've seen it, you guys can let us know what you thought of it. I did do the video last night where I was just baffled by the ending. I still do not understand the ending. It doesn't make any sense at all. The whole sing along part went on way too long. That was a lot. I was like, okay, I don't like this song, and they're singing
That
the
is a
entire
terrible
song.
song. That
They are
that is a
singing the
terrible song.
entire song,
That's never been a good song.
and
My kids were surprised that I knew the words to it. They were surprised I knew the words to a couple of the songs because they didn't realize that they were real songs.
yeah, it was a lot. So if you haven't seen it, I would say if you like the original Beetlejuice, if you like Tim Burton movies, it's worth a watch. It honestly, I don't think you lose much if you watch it on demand at home rather than in the theater. I think either way it works. It's not a movie that has these over the top special effects that are only good in the theater.
Thank
I think
goodness.
it'll work either way.
I'm glad they didn't do too
But
much.
yeah, I would probably give it like a 6 out of 10. I'd give it a 6, personally.
I liked it way more than that. I thought it was fun. But
So,
again, I like Tim Burton movies, and I like Tim Burton movies that a lot of people don't like. So there's that.
but
I think
anyways,
Tim Burton's awesome.
let me know what you guys thought of the movie in the comment section below. If you haven't already seen it, again, as I said, we're both saying it's a recommended watch. I'm saying you don't have to see it in the theater. You can watch it at home. You can wait for it on demand if you want to. But yeah, let me know your thoughts. Hit like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Thank you guys so much for all your support as always. It's greatly appreciated. We will talk to you again soon.